The Celluloid Closet, 1995, is a groundbreaking documentary that delves into the history of LGBTQ+ representation in Hollywood films. Directed by Rob Epstein and Jeffrey Friedman, the film is based on the book by Vito Russo, who meticulously chronicled how LGBTQ+ characters have been depicted on screen throughout the decades. The documentary traces the evolution of these portrayals, from the silent film era to the early 1990s, illustrating how cinema has both mirrored and influenced societal attitudes towards LGBTQ+ individuals. Through a rich tapestry of film clips and interviews with actors, directors, and writers, The Celluloid Closet reveals the often hidden subtext and coded language used by filmmakers to circumvent censorship, while also examining the impact of these representations on audiences both queer and straight. The film begins by exploring the early days of cinema, when LGBTQ+ characters were largely invisible or portrayed through stereotypes and caricatures. In the silent film era and into the 1930s, queer characters were often depicted as sissies or tragic figures, serving primarily as comic relief or as cautionary tales. This era also saw Hollywood's first subtle attempts at queer representation, with filmmakers using visual codes and subtext to suggest same-sex attraction or gender nonconformity without explicitly stating it. The documentary highlights how these early portrayals set the tone for decades of marginalization and misrepresentation, as the Hays Code, implemented in 1934, enforced strict censorship rules that prohibited explicit depictions of homosexuality, further pushing queer identities into the shadows. As the Celluloid Closet progresses through the mid-20th century, it examines how LGBTQ+ representations became more complex yet remained deeply problematic. During the 1950s and 1960s, queer characters were often associated with villainy or moral corruption, a trend that reinforced societal stigmas and fears. The documentary notes films such as The Children's Hour, 1961, and The Detective, 1968, where homosexuality is treated as a source of shame or a symptom of psychological disturbance. Despite these negative portrayals, this era also marks the beginning of a subtle shift, as some filmmakers began to challenge the status quo, using innuendo and metaphor to offer more nuanced and sympathetic depictions of queer life, albeit still constrained by the limitations of the time. In the 1970s and 1980s, the documentary shows how the landscape of LGBTQ+ representation began to change more significantly. The Stonewall riots and the gay liberation movement inspired a wave of more open and diverse portrayals, though these were often met with mixed reactions. Films like The Boys in the Band, 1970, and Making Love, 1982, dared to present LGBTQ+ characters with greater depth and humanity, yet they still faced criticism for perpetuating stereotypes or focusing on themes of tragedy. The Celluloid Closet highlights this tension, illustrating how filmmakers wrestled with the challenge of authentic representation while confronting societal and industry pressures. The documentary underscores the importance of these films as cultural milestones that paved the way for greater visibility and acceptance of LGBTQ+ narratives in mainstream cinema. Concluding with the early 1990s, The Celluloid Closet reflects on the progress made and the challenges that remain. By the time of the documentary's release, there was a noticeable increase in films that presented LGBTQ+ characters as multifaceted individuals, such as Philadelphia, 1993, and The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, 1994. Yet the documentary argues that Hollywood still had a long way to go in terms of fully embracing and normalizing queer identities on screen. Through poignant interviews with notable figures like Lily Tomlin, Harvey Fierstein, and Tony Curtis, the film offers a hopeful yet critical perspective on the future of LGBTQ+ representation, advocating for a cinema that truly reflects the diversity and complexity of human experience. The Celluloid Closet remains an essential resource for understanding the history and ongoing evolution of queer visibility in film, reminding audiences of the power of storytelling to both challenge and change societal norms. The Celluloid Closet, released in 1995, is a groundbreaking documentary that delves into the portrayal of LGBTQ+ characters in Hollywood films throughout cinematic history. The film was based on Vito Russo's 1981 book of the same name, and its production was a labor of love that spanned several years. Directors Rob Epstein and Jeffrey Friedman meticulously pieced together a narrative that not only chronicled the evolution of LGBTQ+ representation, but also highlighted the cultural and societal shifts that influenced these portrayals. Behind the scenes, the team faced the enormous challenge of sifting through thousands of hours of footage to Select clips that best illustrated the themes discussed in the documentary. This painstaking process was essential to the film's success, as it ensured that each example was both poignant and illustrative of the broader narrative. The director's dedication to authenticity and detail is evident in the final product, which educates viewers while remaining deeply engaging. One intriguing piece of trivia about The Celluloid Closet is that it features a diverse range of celebrity narrators and interviewees who lend their voices to the film, including Lily Tomlin, who served as the primary narrator. Tomlin's involvement was more than just a professional collaboration, it was a personal commitment to the subject matter, as she has been an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Additionally, the documentary features interviews with iconic filmmakers and actors such as Tony Curtis, Susan Sarandon, and Whoopi Goldberg, who provide first-hand insights into Hollywood's treatment of LGBTQ+ themes over the decades. These interviews offer a unique perspective, as many of the participants share their personal experiences of working in an industry that has often marginalized queer stories. The documentary is rich with Easter eggs for film buffs, including subtle references to classic films that have become cult favorites within the LGBTQ+ community. For example, the documentary highlights the coded gay characters in films like Ben-Hur and Spartacus, where subtext was used to bypass censorship restrictions of the time. These nods to cinematic history not only serve to educate viewers about the challenges filmmakers faced, but also celebrate the ingenuity required to bring queer stories to the screen. The film itself becomes a treasure hunt of sorts, inviting viewers to rewatch these classics with a newfound understanding of their hidden messages. Psychologically, The Celluloid Closet examines the power of representation and the impact that media portrayals have on societal attitudes and individual identity. By dissecting the stereotype-laden and often harmful depictions of LGBTQ+ characters in early cinema, the documentary challenges audiences to consider how these images shaped public perceptions of the queer community. The film also explores the concept of reading between the lines, a skill that many LGBTQ+ viewers developed out of necessity to find reflections of themselves in media that often erased or vilified their existence. This psychological analysis adds a layer of depth to the documentary, prompting viewers to reflect on their own media consumption and its influence on their understanding of gender and sexuality. The impact and legacy of The Celluloid Closet are profound, as it sparked a broader conversation about the importance of diverse representation in film and media. Upon its release, the documentary received widespread critical acclaim and numerous accolades, including a Peabody Award, for its thorough exploration of a previously underexamined aspect of film history. It has since become a seminal work in both film studies and LGBTQ+ history, often used as an educational tool in academic settings. The film also paved the way for future documentaries and studies that continue to explore the intersection of media, culture, and identity, ensuring that its influence remains relevant in contemporary discussions about representation. As The Celluloid Closet continues to be celebrated for its insightful and comprehensive examination of LGBTQ+ portrayals in cinema, it serves as a reminder of the ongoing need for authentic and inclusive storytelling. The film's legacy is felt not only in the world of documentaries but also in the broader entertainment industry, which has made strides toward more diverse and accurate representations in recent years. By shedding light on the complexities of cinematic history and the resilience of the LGBTQ+ community, The Celluloid Closet has become an enduring testament to the power of film, as a tool for social change and a beacon of hope for those seeking to see their stories told truthfully and with dignity.